Hi, and welcome to What Women and Men Need to Know. My friend Charles Lancaster. I was going to say my old friend Charles, but I didn't want to get into that.
Well, every day's an older day.
That's
so,
right. When I woke up this morning, I said, "Thank you, Lord,
Exactly,
that
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
awake this
Yeah.
morning." Joins me anyway, and it's raining again today. I heard some weather forecaster the other day say we were above rainfall.
It's funny how that,
And
in the
I-
big picture, that won't make any difference. I mean, no matter what happened last year, if we start off with it raining, we'll be everybody
okay.
presumes we're
Yeah.
okay. We're still, what, I don't know how many,
So I
20
thought,
inches
okay,
below
did
or-
I miss some
Yeah, no.
some
I don't
rain
know.
there? I may have. but-
Well, we haven't had that much, I don't think, in our immediate area. I
Right.
mean, it's been damp, and thank goodness we've had some, but it's not been any
we've had
big,
some rain. We've had some good rains, but
Yeah.
I don't recall that we've had enough to make up for that deficit.
Right,
So,
right.
If you know anything, would you
I-
fill me in? Because I thought, well, maybe I missed that.
Yeah, no, I don't know of anything.
I've been out of it some.
Well, I
and
understand. There's been several mornings when it's been, back when it was real dry. I was just happy for a heavy dew or a fog, because that's good to
really,
hit
I
the
mean,
ground and maybe get
birds
something out.
passed
Yeah,
over.
exactly.
It was
Yeah, yeah. So,
a good day, but
right. And we're going to still feel some repercussions because that, a lot of the. And it's funny. I've talked to people just recently. They're talking about because some people may have put out a few seed. And my caution was that during that time, if you put things out, you got a little rain. A lot of it was one of those really gambling years. I mean, as far as you put out some seed and it does rain just for a little bit, they germinate, and then you go into another long dry period. Well, you've lost those seed, But some people have put out a few things, and some of it has still come through. Now, a lot of times they're putting out a mix, so you don't know.
what
Everything
part?
didn't. Yeah, some of the, maybe
Germinated.
ryegrass or whatever, and some may have rotted or whatever. But anyway, some life, and even in my yard, I hadn't really done anything, and there's some life coming back in some of the fescue, I guess, or some of the grasses.
It's
in
green. Whatever it
could
is,
be.
it's
And
green.
there's also some weeds coming through too, which
Right.
they're always going to be there. So, but I think this spring, unfortunately, will be a really telltale sign for us as far as how some of our lawns and our pastures are going to recover, and it may take some over or redoing, or reestablishment and that kind of thing. And I guess on some of our shrubs, I've noticed shrubs. I was over at the library the other day, over at Benton Place campus, and had noticed this actually before Christmas because it was so dry, and there would be some that were just still vibrantly green, and some that had that gray color to it. Well, I have a couple of meetings I meet once a month. The next time we went in January, and some of those that were kind of gray back then, they were pretty much totally defoliated. And those are evergreen, so if they're lost all their leaves, there's not much chance that anything's coming back.
Right.
And these are just humongous shrubs that have been there as long as the library's been there. So, I think we're going to see some of that. Not everything might have died in the landscape, but a lot of things are going to have suffered. And even some of our bigger trees may make it back this year, but 3 or 4 years down the road, I'm afraid we're going to see a lot of
Continue to see.
possibilities because that much damage they just can't recover. Especially if we go through some more like this. But and we've had them over the years, but still, we've had that same kind of pattern. You have the response is 2 or 3 years down the road for that 2 or 3 years prior. The damage is done, and they just can't recover. They keep working at it and putting the nutrients in there, and they'll leaf out and leaf out and leaf out. But sooner or later, they lost enough roots back then they can't replenish
They've done
all
all
that.
they can.
Yeah, and they just kind of.
I've seen several lines of evergreens, shrubbery maybe as a border or something, and you'll see maybe 3 that look okay, and then 2 that are just totally brown.
Right.
Maybe more brown than green.
And it can be the same plant, and it can be a lot of things there. It could be the soil conditions. Maybe these 3 are planted in a much deeper soil, and all of a sudden these 2 are over a rocky area or something like that, so the roots aren't near as deep, and have done fine when there was a plenty of rain or whatever. But all of a sudden
They're challenged.
they've challenged, and they just haven't been able to maintain. So there's a lot of different things can happen, and even our several calls this year or this winter, I guess, in fall, about Leland cypress. Of course, it's been used tremendously for screens and stuff like that, and then all kinds of things are happening. And then again, drought has been a big part of that. And so they'll try to come back, and they may or may not. I mean, it's just a hard time for a lot of those plants. In the same situation, they've been either packed packed in there so tight that, 5 and 6 feet apart, where they should have been 10 to 15 feet apart, that they just
They were all trying to get that same drop of water.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So a lot of things that might need to be done. So how do you know that? We got county water, and so while everything was torn up, I figured, why not tear everything up? If most of the yard was already, plowed up with the backhoe, why not dig
Right.
up a little bit more?
Right.
So while we had the backhoe digging up, I said, those shrubs really look bad. They've been there for, 50 years,
pulled them out
yeah,
and-
forever. And
Okay.
I said, that one especially looks bad. So by the time I picked out, I said,
Just take them all.
take them all. So now we have no shrubbery.
Yeah.
On that
Right,
end of the
right.
house. So now we have no shrubbery. So,
Well-
and at that time, I couldn't put any more shrubbery
Right,
in there
right.
because you can't do anything. And 10 feet down, there was no moisture.
Right,
So,
exactly, yeah.
that would have been a,
Well, you probably did the right thing, and that way you can at least contemplate or think about what you'd like to do, and then start afresh or start anew, and then you might even think put in some irrigation or something like that. I don't know if you want to do that or not, but that's always a possibility. But just around the base, the house, usually anything that is in like a prepackaged container, like a gallon. You go to some places that they're called ball and burlap. That's
Yeah.
when they've been dug and then repackaged,
Right.
but they've lost a lot of the roots when they've been dug. But that's one way you do bigger plants, or they're just bare root type things. But those that are in the containers have grown in there. Those can be put in the ground anytime. Usually because they've been growing in that confined area. One thing that I would definitely do though is when you pull those out, or whoever's doing your landscaping for you, make sure that they do something to break up that root ball, because what can happen if they've been in there for especially a year and a year or longer or something like that, a lot of times those roots will just start to spin around, and you take them out and drop them in another hole you've dug. They're going to stay in that pattern, so they need to be expanded and broken up
so
they
they
start
can spread out.
spread out. Yeah, and that's where you're doing. Actually, I found this past spring, summer, we had put in and my fault, a bunch of just bedding plants. And when I went in and took some of them out after they kind of didn't do so well, I realized that in my haste, rather than actually taking those little things out of the cup and breaking those roots up, I just dropped them in there and put soil around them. Well, if you look, a lot of times these things are grown in a medium. The roots are kind of right on the inside of a lot of them. And if you don't keep that moist, if you can let that dry out and you drop it in there, when it does absorb moisture, it don't absorb all the way to the center, and those plants never will recover from that. So you need to break that open so that water can get
All the way
all
through.
through it in there. Yeah, because it's amazing. Because if you fill of them, you go into like one of the places that sell plants, and they'll come in a little 6-pack. You can pick it up, and if they hadn't been watered, I mean, they're almost
Light
blow
as,
away.
yeah, light as a feather.
So make sure that you get them watered good, and I would probably do that prior to planting them. If I'd have done that, that would have even been better. Would have to soak them good, let them sit over a few hours or overnight, and then planted them. That way, I was sure that water had gotten all the way in. And once it's in there, it'll keep pulling. But there's something about that. I think it's called turgor pressure or something like that. You can take something that's bone dry in the middle. Well, an example is like peat moss. If you've ever tried to use peat moss in maybe a soil mixture or something, and you just throw the big clump in there, well, you have something as big as your fist. Unless you soak it, it never will get.
It almost floats.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
it
So it's
has
got to be literally soaked for several days until all that gets moist inside or broken up, and so it can get in there. Had a fellow who planted a bunch of blueberry bushes several years ago, and he used that, and they all died. But what happened? He used peat moss to bring that pH down, but didn't soak it, and so those plants were stuck in there with that, and the moisture never could get to the roots because of peat moss was taken up, but it never really saturated. So
Right.
the little plants just kind of withered away because it didn't work out
Couldn't
good
get
for
to
them.
to the root.
So getting that water in there is a very important thing. And anyway, but that's why I would suggest, even if you're doing things now, of course, not a whole lot of bedding plants to put out right now. Maybe some.
So wait about putting out shrubbery though. A little
Well,
bit.
you could, but now if you find a good deal on it or something like that, I mean, it can still be put in, but you want to make sure that that it's still good and wet, and of course, good and wet now and put out there. If you don't get them in the ground, I definitely would keep them in kind of a warmer area. Don't, especially with these temperatures, getting down to 19 some nights and that kind of thing. If they're just sitting out there and been soaked good, and then it freezes, that's going to freeze those outer roots anyway. So you're going to get some damage there. So, but if you get them in the ground, that's a whole different deal because hopefully that soil temperatures will be, even though it's 19 up here, they're still going to be much warmer in the ground.
So you could go ahead and put them out on
you could,
a warmer day.
Yeah, you could. And so far, I wouldn't wait for just a day. I'd wait for a little period of time when you got 4 or 5 days there.
Right,
kind
a
of
little
good.
spell.
Yeah.
A little warm spell.
Right. Yeah,
As-
a little
as
spell.
we
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
yeah.
Yeah. I've dealt with those spells over the years.
Right.
Dry spells and wet spells and
warm spells.
Warm spells. Right. But
I think we're supposed to have starting to have a few days. This Saturday is supposed to be 68, I think.
it's hard.
But
It's crazy, isn't it?
it
I mean,
is.
how many years has it been? Maybe we never have had. I mean, in Georgia, we've had cold weather, but it's never been that
warm
northern
that
cold
early,
weather.
yeah.
Up and down, up and down, up and down. Because I remember February. Sometimes it's like Marches are usually colder than some of the Februarys. We had that warm February time, and then back when in '93, later part of March when the big storm or
13.
yeah. So if you get past that 13,
Yeah, 13.
that's been mentioned several times
Yes.
over the years. So
Yes. But we had beautiful weather that week.
yeah, oh yeah.
Beautiful weather.
Well, I was down in Newnan, and it was
Shirt
leading up to
sleeve.
it. Yeah, and it was like it just came in and didn't blow through. It just came in and stalled. I reckon it just kept on and kept
Yeah.
on and just
Kept on
got
giving.
crazy. Because I remember looking out the window and even after the power had gone out, and it was literally things were blowing sideways and the snow was just coming in and I know it was even crazier up here, but it was pretty good all
Yeah.
over North Georgia, I guess, and even into South Georgia probably and all. So.
Crazy time.
Oh, yeah,
Crazy
yeah.
time.
Well, I've got a couple things I want to mention this because I know a
Okay.
lot of folks are having some issues, and this is not really horticulture related, but this is something for folks who in Walker, Catoosa, Dade, Chattooga, counties that are serviced by the Farm Service Agency down in Walker County, Todd Heiss' office. They've got a program. It actually started back in last spring, so I don't know if they have opened up even more programs now, but this is actually reverting back to last spring when we did have kind of a drought and some issues. Pasture problems, yeah. And so if you had cattle back in those times, back in the spring, and you had some adult cattle, not calves, but the mama cows, and you have to actually kind of prove that you had, what you had or whatever, how many adults, whatever. But what you want to do is go down to their office and sit down with them and sign up for this kind of a hay relief type program, and you get some funds to help replenish. It's kind of hard to find hay right now. Starting getting a lot of calls, but anyway, where there's you get some help on some hay to pay for some hay. But basically, what you do, you can call this number 706-638-1558. Again, 706-638-1558, and it's extension 2. And then you'll talk to, probably June will be there, maybe Todd also, and set up an appointment to go in and actually sit down with them, and they'll help you do this. There's a deadline of, I think it's January the, let's see, what's on the backside here? January 31st, so we're getting close to that. But again, it reverts back to that time back last spring. But talk with them and get signed up for that program so that you can, if you had those animals, I think it's adult and non-adult beef cattle that weighed over 500 pounds, I think are eligible. And then eligible livestock including the following for commercial use. Yeah, it even includes alpacas, deer, elk, emus, equine, all kinds of stuff. So but anyway, they'll go through the question information with you, and you can fill that out. But if you haven't signed up yet, just having the guy come by the day before yesterday, he had just heard about it. So if you're just hearing about it, get on down there and get signed up. I think it takes be a part of the program. And then once you get signed up, a lot of people don't know, they do some wonderful things to the Farm Service Agency and the Soil and Water Conservation Service, or NRCS, and but you don't think about it till after you needed them. You should if you need them beforehand. So go ahead and get signed up and that kind of thing, and so you'll be on those lists. Another thing, and this comes around I think once a year. I think January 1st is the kickoff every time. Is the GATE program, or the GATE card, and that's the Georgia Agricultural Tax Exemption Program. And you've been a part of that, don't you? You use it on your farm, okay?
I have one in my purse.
Yeah, and it's really a neat. Well, I'll say neat. It's neat, but it's also a very important thing for the farmers. I mean, and there's certain things you can't just have. I guess you can't be like a sundown farmer. You can't just have a cow or two and not really do anything. You have to actually produce something off of your farm. I think it's $2,500. I think it is the max. So you got to actually produce something there to be eligible for it. But once you have that card, there's a lot of things that you can get the taxes off of when you go to purchase those items. Now, it can't be food, it can't be this, that, and other. It could be animal feed, I think is on there, and then fencing and that kind of stuff. But it can be a help. Even fuel taxes, I think it can be waived on it for on farm use and that kind of thing. So it's got to be related to the farm and to help you in your farming operation. But you sign up through the Department of Agriculture to do that, and you can call our office and we can get you that information. You don't actually go through our office to do it; it's actually through the Department of Agriculture. But
and you can do it online.
And you can do it online. Yeah, I think it's a $25 charge each year. But if you do much of anything, it's worth the cost of the card, and you can use that. You just present it when you go in, and most of the folks will have. If you use them on a regular basis, they will keep that. I think probably make a copy of it or something and have it there, just kind of like they do with the pesticide license.
Some places it's easier to use than others.
Well,
some places they make it difficult, or they have their own way of wanting to structure the use of it when it's not their call, but they want to say how it should be.
Now there's a gentleman, and they just in the past year they put out there's a team, I think, and there's one in our region. He's come by the office and met with just kind of find out who all would accept those in our area, and he's going to, or has been going around and talking with those folks, trying to get everybody on the same page. Because sometimes that salesperson or that store may not know. I mean, everybody's got pull out a library card and people try to use that to get something off. But they trying to make everybody aware of what it's about, and that it is a valid type program and everything. So hopefully that will help out. And,
that's good, because some of the I'll just say the big box stores are not really
don't want to play.
Well, they don't have a clue what it is.
Right,
they have, and they just all they know is what they know.
Exactly.
And they're not interested in.
Well, and you're right. And probably when they start going up the line, it's probably not a nationwide thing. It's probably just a Georgia thing. So it's like their upper echelon is in Arkansas or wherever.
Right.
So, they have no idea what's happening. So that helps these guys by them going out and actually having a conversation or building a rapport with them. That helps you or us as individuals or farmers to be able to use that. But it's the Georgia Agricultural Tax Exemption Card, and it's called GATE. And you can call the office, and I can give you the email how to go online and do that, or we can help you. But they do, and it's not just like everybody can get one. You've got to prove that you're a farmer.
You have to qualify.
Yeah, and what you basically you're going to do, you're going to fill out this about a 2-page application. You're going to send that in, and then they're actually going to call you. Because they've had some issues leading, and it's gotten better every year. Somebody from the Department of Ag is literally going to call you and then go through some more things to verify all this, and then you send your money in to get your card.
Right.
So until they've done that, then but you've got to start with this. And if you've never in the past several years haven't gotten a private applicator's license, pesticide license, or something like that, then you're also going to have to do an affidavit proving that you're a U.S. citizen. I mean, that's part of that came back from the Homeland Security and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff several years ago. So, but once you've done that, it's on record. So if you've already done the pesticide license, then they've got it on record, and we just send that in and put your pesticide license on there, or vice versa. They can use that same document from some other time. But if not, just be aware of that. And I know it's kind of like some of the stuff we have to do now with the 4-H program. You've got to be certified to be a chaperone. You know, you've got to go through the background stuff and all that. So sometimes there's more hoops to jump through, but
Right.
it's in the long run, it's
There's
to
a
help
reason.
out. Yeah, yes,
Right.
ma'am. Yeah.
And did you know this is just changing but kind of going along? Your driver's license now, starting this year, will be an 8-year driver's
I
license.
saw that $35 opposed to whatever.
32.
Okay.
$32, I think, and which mine is a 10-year. My current driver's license is a 10-year, but I won't be able to get the 10-year again because
Well, I was
puts you
thinking I
into
had
another.
10 years at one time.
Yeah, I did, but it depends on where you get your driver's license as to whether or not they even tell you about it.
Oh, okay.
But my last driver's license, which will expire next year, I got in 2008, was a 10-year driver's license.
Okay.
I had to pay a little bit more, but it wasn't a lot more.
Well, I think Emma and I did it. Our birthdays were one day apart, so we went and got our license. We said, "Gosh, yeah, that's 10 years. I ain't got to do it."
It makes sense to me. Just the hassle of
Yeah,
not
exactly.
doing it
Yeah,
makes sense
yeah,
to me.
yeah, so-
But the new ones now are going to be 8 years.
Yeah, I saw that
And-
just the other day that it was coming out.
So
with that,
that's a new thing, and you will have to you can use the passport,
Well, we
because that
just
trumps everything.
yeah,
I mean,
we just got ours redone. I think last year, and they sent you when you go on that, you need to. The worst thing to do is not to go on that thing and find out what you got to have, because if you're over there and you waited in line and everything, and you get up there and you say,
too bad.
yeah, you just back out the door till you
Yeah.
come back. So make sure you get, like I say, passport trumps everything, but birth certificate and/or
Other citizenship
yeah.
document, but
an old driver's license doesn't really hold a lot of weight. I don't think it doesn't.
I don't think so,
yeah.
because it didn't have any of those things to back
Right,
it up.
right. Yeah.
Then you have to have two things to show your residency.
Right. Yeah.
And I started thinking about this, and I don't know. I mean, this was one of the things. So tell me, was a bank statement, but you could have your bank statement sent to a post office box, and a post office box doesn't really
Right.
verify.
I think on there it says a valid home address. I don't think it
It just said post. I mean,
Oh,
it just said a bank
bank
statement.
okay,
But
okay.
maybe in somewhere in fine print, and
I got you.
know,
Okay, maybe so,
somewhere it
yeah.
says that. But I thought, well, it could be sent to your.
Well, a lot of
post
people
office.
don't have you would just have a post office box. There's nothing, or water bill or power bill, those
Right,
kind of
so
things.
if
I
you
just
got a
remember we
water
all had
bill or
it,
a power
because we
bill.
went at the same time. I think she had a handful, and I had a handful, just in case we got them done at the same time.
Right,
We
you
couldn't
could share.
Yeah, so
But you
yeah.
do have to have two things. Used to, it was just one thing, but you have to
Right.
have two things showing where you reside. And then there was one more thing.
Social Security card was one thing.
Something with
yeah.
your social security number on it. But
Yeah.
when you get to be 65, see, your Medicare
Takes over.
number
Trumps
is
your-
your social security number.
Huh.
Much to my dismay, but you could use your Medicare card.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, that's don't get over there without the stuff. 'Cause
That's
that's
right.
so
Have
important,
all
yeah.
your stuff.
Yeah, have
Not,
your ducks
not
in a
just
row,
part
'cause-
of it, but all of your stuff.
And I don't. It's like a lot of things. I don't think it even matters if, because I'm sure those people have to check off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking they actually took those things and made copies of them and in some way put that in your record or whatever.
I'm sure
so
they did.
they can't say, "Oh, Grandma, I know who you are." They can't really just
Right.
make up stuff, so they got to check off or have that documentation there. So.
But you know, if you have a passport, that has your social security number. That has your resident, your.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Lauren, my daughter. She's got
has
one of those.
everything. I mean, that's the whole package
Yeah,
right there. That
yeah.
has your everything about your whole. I mean, I just think if you have a passport,
That does help
that's it.
alleviate a lot. I'm thinking about it because she's been doing some trips to Nicaragua and mission trips in the summer. Been doing 4 or 5 times, I guess now. She keeps saying, "Hey, you ought to go with me. You ought to go with me." And I said, "Well, I ain't got no passport."
I'm just thinking, just like you're saying, these things are changing.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking it's just going to become more difficult to get. So when you get one, it's not hard to get it renewed.
Right.
So, but I'm just thinking that it may get,
Maybe a document worth having.
it may
yeah.
become.
'Cause it's not
more-
easy. I mean, you got to. You
It's
got to go
hard.
through a little bit of steps to get to it.
You
Yeah.
do, and so I'm thinking that if you have one, it's easier to get it renewed than it might be one day just to get one from scratch.
Right. Right.
So
right.
get one, Charles.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
get-
my
I'm gonna do
point.
that.
Get one.
And I think go through the post office or something like that would be way to do that. Yeah.
I realized my little mental light bulb went off, and I said, I think it's about time for my passport to expire. Well, I couldn't get it out of the safe. I finally got my safe open. 2 weeks, it would expire in 2 weeks. So I got on the,
On the horn, you got
on
it
the
all
horn
taken care of?
and got that taken care of, and I was able to do that and get it renewed.
Well, neat.
So,
That's good.
so that was.
Well, I do
good,
need to.
but
Yeah, I
didn't-
need. She keeps telling me I do need to get that done and get taken care
Well,
of.
you do that. I'm going to nag you about that.
Okay.
so.
All right. Okay. A couple other things that can be done this time of year, and just like doing soil tests, getting a passport, it takes a little time. That's what if you're going to be it's cold and everything. Go to the post office, and go through that process or whatever. Soil testing. This is a great time to go ahead and get those pulled on one of these warmer days and get that information sent off so that you can make your adjustments so that when the spring does get here, you're ready to, for the garden and that kind of thing. And we, whether you're in Walker, Catoosa County, Dade, or Chattooga, wherever, each one of our offices, we'll take those samples and we actually send them to the university lab for processing and everything. But, the cost of the sample in our office is $9, and then that's for the test itself, and actually for shipping it down to Athens, but the information you get back is so important. I mean, you get what the pH is, and you get recommendations on what you need to do to get whether you're growing tomatoes or peaches or strawberries or green beans, vegetables or what flowers, whatever. That information helps you have your soil ready so those plants can thrive except for the water. They don't, and it says water.
Can't help that.
Can't help that. But at least they have a good shot of making it once you get that done. So think about that and do that. But and basically what you're going to do, you're not just going to take 1 tablespoon out of that flower bed or that yard or whatever. You're going to take about 10 to 12 random samples throughout that whole area and going down about 4 to 6 inches deep. And in the bulletin here, it kind of talks about using a shovel or a spade or something like that, and basically just pushing it in the ground, stick it in the ground, pushing it forward, and then coming back off that hole and taking a slice about 1 inch thick down to that depth, and putting all 10 to 12 of those in the same container and mixing those up real good, pulling out the rocks and the grass and that kind of thing. And then from that, about a quart Ziploc bag of soil is plenty. But mark on there, because if you have some concerns, like you might do your front yard, you do your backyard, and you might do a side yard, or you might do several fields where you have different hay crops or whatever, or garden and that kind of thing. Make sure you label that each individual bag so that you're not come to the office with 5 bags and you have no idea where they came from. Well, I would just say, if that's the case, go back and start over, because when you get the information back,
It's
it's
all
a
mixed
toss
up.
up. You don't.
That's right.
Yeah. So we might well mix them all together and just say, okay, on your whole place, this is what it is. But
One sample says.
right. Yeah. So anyway, but do that. If you got if you're looking for something to do, get outside and do a little digging when it kind of warms up a little bit. And like I say, this weekend is supposed to be pretty nice and everything. So.
Soil may be dry to
A little bit.
just about
and,
right.
And of course, compared to before then, even if it's still damp, go ahead and pull them out and do that, and then just spread them out, let them dry out, or we'll do that at the office.
All right. Hold that thought, Charles. It's about time for us to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have another guest join us, and
Thank
we'll
you.
share some more information.
Appreciate
So
it.
stay with us after this break from our sponsors.
We're on the air 24/7. A North Georgia taste of heaven, a fun place to be. And we're your family, UCTV.
For over 4 decades, your neighborhood ShopRite supermarkets have been the standard for quality and service. Locally owned means you'll find a smile on every aisle.
Best meat at the best prices. Farm fresh produce.
Weekly specials on a variety of products.
Get the ShopRite seal of approval. You can't shop wrong at ShopRite.
ShopRite this week, they have chicken breast for $1.59 a pound. That's boneless, skinless chicken breast. They also have Domino sugar, 2 4-pound bags for $4. That's $2 for a 4-pound bag. They have boneless pork loin for $1.89. Can't beat that. They also have Argo sliced peaches, 2 29-ounce cans for $3. And they have Food Club mushrooms for 79 cents. Fresh celery for $1.19. And a lot of really great fresh vegetables, including romaine lettuce, 2 of those for $4, and fresh cabbage. I love fresh coleslaw, only 39 cents a pound. Now, these are just a few of the many values you'll find at your local ShopRite store, where they still take your groceries to the car. So go down, see the folks at ShopRite.
The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. The same rules apply to financial success. Saving money is the first step towards financial independence. And at the Bank of Lafayette, we have an investment account for every situation. How much you save is not nearly as important as establishing a regular pattern of saving and placing of your money aside in a safe and secure place. Whimsical thinking and immediate gratification can rob you of a financially secure future and a safe and comfortable retirement. At the Bank of Lafayette, we can help you choose an investment account that will help you reach your immediate, short-term, and long-term goals. The one rule that always applies across every economic timeline and condition: the sooner you begin saving, the faster your money will grow. Bank with confidence at the Bank of Lafayette, your hometown bank for more than 110 years. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
At the Rosewood Assisted Living and Memory Care, we have everything your senior could want in a safe, comfortable residence. Several levels of services include short-term housing for weekends or longer, assisted living where the staff provides a watchful eye while preserving your loved one's privacy and dignity, or independent living where residents are able to take care of themselves yet have access to all amenities and a sense of security. And the Rosewood on Battlefield Parkway specializes in memory care for patients of Alzheimer's or dementia. Call today for a tour of our campus.
MetaThrift Pharmacy, located at 324 West Patton Street in Lafayette, across from the ShopRite. MetaThrift Pharmacy provides prescription drugs, including compounded prescriptions. They also have diabetic supplies, including custom diabetic shoes. They have lift chairs, potty chairs, shower seats, and other durable medical equipment. MetaThrift Pharmacy in Lafayette has a friendly, well-trained staff that will help you with your drugstore needs, whether you're on the phone or in the store. You may also leave your refill request on their automated phone system, available 24 hours a day. Make them your choice for your pharmacy needs. MetaThrift Pharmacy, 706-638-3114.
We're on the air 24/7. A North Georgia taste of heaven. A fun place to be. And we're your family. You see TV.
Hi, welcome back. You see, we added one to our set while you were seeing our commercials. Julia Ferguson is a new member of the Catoosa County Extension Office, and I'm going to let Charles tell you a little bit about her, if she's willing to let Charles.
Just this time.
She may blood. No, she won't. Now, this is Julia Ferguson, and Miss Julia started with us back in November. It was her like the first day, I think, second day on the job. We were down at our district meeting after the kickoff, and everything. So she was. The first day she had to go for a training, I think. So she wasn't there long,
That's
but
typical.
she was, yeah. So,
Very
anyway,
typical.
she started with us in November, and of course, and hit the ground running. And since then, we've been doing. She's already done a year's worth of club meetings, and we've been doing DPA practices and all that kind of stuff. Started those yesterday, so just hit the ground going, and just glad to have her with us. So she's been a great, a refreshing person in the office. I get kind of stale myself, so she's been definitely a good person to keep myself and Miss Tola on our toes and things going straight. But Julie, you want to tell you about yourself a little bit more?
Sure.
Where you're from and some of those kind of things.
As he said, I'm Julia, and I started in November. I am originally from Chattanooga. I went to high school in Chattanooga, and then I got my bachelor's degree and master's degree up in Knoxville at UT. So I am a Vols fan, sorry. And I got my master's in entomology and my undergraduate in biology. And then I applied to work with 4-H and Cooperative Extension, and now I'm here in Catoosa County.
I'm happy to have her. She's been, again, a great asset to the office, and look forward to years to come. So they just have bought her and her fiance. She's going to get married in April.
Yes, right.
Congratulations.
Bought
Thank
a house,
you.
and so she's learning about all the. Don't ask me how do you get gas? Do you have to call around and the water hooked up and all those kind of things. So she's having a lot of opportunities to get all those things out of the way. But we're looking forward to her being with us for a long time and everything. And hopefully we may even get our little TV show going again later on, like the Extension 411. So we'll see about that, how that goes. But Helen, I appreciate you letting her come in. She's just been over at Westside Elementary doing club meetings this morning. I said, well, you're already over in Fort Oglethorpe. Why not just come on over and we'll slide you in and say hello and give her an introduction and everything.
Well, great. We're glad to have you here, and you're in a wonderful part of the world. We're glad to have you in Georgia, to steal you from Tennessee.
Right.
Thank you.
So parents and grandparents, if you are watching, Miss Julia is one that is actually doing the 4-H program in your grandchild's or your child's school here in Catoosa County. So if they come back and talk about the young lady or Miss Julia or the 4-H lady, this is her. So.
It's me.
That's right. That's the name you get, the 4-H lady.
Yeah,
The
if we
4-H
go to
lady.
Walmart or whatever.
And they will remember you forever.
So
4-H
Forever,
lady.
yeah.
don't feel bad if you're in Walmart and the kids somebody peeks around the corner and then they run to tell mama, that's the 4-H lady.
That's
or something
right.
like this. So,
And when you're old and retired, they still remember.
She's a 4-H
I don't
lady.
remember her name, but she did 4-H
That's
with us.
right. Aren't you? I still remember you. So it stays with you. If you stay in the area,
Stays with you.
It stays with
Expect
you.
me to
That's
wear
right.
green all the time.
No, you don't have to wear
They don't-
green.
you
They'll
don't have
still
to.
remember you.
Yeah, especially after a good week at camp or whatever, those kids will definitely know
That's
you.
right.
Okay.
Come back
That
from
is
camp and
right.
things. So.
Well, I'm excited.
Well, we're glad to have you. And I know Charles is glad to have your expertise as well.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
area of
Entomology,
entomology
that
seems
was
to be
kinda neat,
really
yeah.
a popular. We seem to be real buggy around here.
Yeah, we do
so-
have our days.
That's right. We surely do. So we're glad to have you.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
I know you are. And congratulations on your upcoming big event.
I know. I'm so excited. I keep forgetting. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I've got that and work too.
Yeah.
Can I fit it all in? But-
She's already talking about we'll take off some time. I can't figure. I think it's in April. I said that's kind of busy month,
Yeah, really.
Now, luckily, that's usually when they do the CRCTs and all the testing, so that's
So it's
kind
really
of a slow.
not.
So
Yeah.
now don't let her tell you that she planned that because she knew that it wouldn't affect her job as much. So
it's a happy coincidence.
Yeah, right.
but, no,
Sometimes someone's just looking over and taking
Right.
care, right?
it is actually. I didn't think about that. It is actually a good time to do it. So anyway, we're very happy to have her with us, and so we'll.
So what
hopefully-
is the biggest change you've had to deal with so far being in this area? Is it, I mean,
This is the first time, mainly with being at UT, I had a lot of jobs either on campus or around campus, and so commuting is actually a new thing. I was actually, before we just bought a house that we moved into I moved into a couple weeks ago, and I was commuting from Signal Mountain all the way to here, and that's the longest commute I've ever had, and so that's been interesting. I like morning radio, I decided. And so,
But are you a morning person?
I am a morning
That's good.
person, so that's been, so it has been.
Yeah, she's been pleasant. Yeah, she doesn't come in. Yeah, I'm the grouchy one sometimes, I guess. But no, it's good to have somebody that's come in ready to go. So wears me. I'm tired before she wears me out. It's just the excitement. But nice. It's good to have her with us. That's a long, probably at least 25 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a bit of a commute.
And there's always
yeah.
some sort of traffic with 24 and 75.
Yes. Yeah, it wouldn't be 24 and 75 if you didn't have some kind
That's
of
right.
hiccup every day. I
Right.
think.
You think one of the days you'll sneak up there and actually see what's going on and makes it slow, but
I know, you never figure it out
No.
sometimes.
And it could just be one little slow car
yeah.
or truck, but whatever it is, it works its magic.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
It stops everything from flowing, but so we're glad that you won't have to
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do that
commute
anymore.
because that really is. And when you're going south to Atlanta, that really does test your
Patience.
Yes.
And,
Yeah,
well,
unfortunately, at our POW, somebody had called me and said, "Is Julia going to ride with us?" And she was already, actually she had to spend a night in Griffin the night, I think she stayed in Atlanta, but anyway, the night before we had our POW, so she didn't get to ride down with the whole gang and get that first
yeah.
true
Yeah,
experience,
right.
So
Yes.
she's still waiting on that. But I felt sorry for her because it was like you start and then you have to go to Griffin for 2 days, and then she's
Yeah.
she's been pretty well trained since she's been
I'll tell
in
you,
the last 2 months. So.
there's a lot of me just nodding.
You-
I didn't know what was
stay
going
the road.
on.
You
Yeah.
just stay in the road for the first year at least.
That's what if I think they feel like one of those little bobbleheads is for a new agent.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Sounds good, or it sounds anyway. How good it sounds.
Right. And now I'm so tired I can't hear anymore.
Yeah.
so I just- Well, good luck to you, and
Thank you.
I know you'll be a great asset to this office in this area and to all our viewers. So this is your new agent and your new person you'll see in the Catoosa County office, the new face. So.
Come by and visit with us and visit Miss Julia and we were talking about ag things going on. There's still a couple of things that I just wanted to mention, and one was the no-till drill. For those of you who have yards or whatever, it probably wouldn't be something you'd be interested in, but the county, actually Walker has one. Catoosa, Walker has 2 or 3, I guess, that are through the Limestone Valley RC&D, and then Catoosa has one that's available when it gets time to do some replanting or some no-tilling back into those existing fields and those kind of things to kind of get those seeds in the ground with very little disturbance of the soil, and it actually kind of with the no-till part of it, just kind of drills it into the ground, but can really help to get those pastures reestablished and growing again. So keep an eye on those. When it gets to be, I'd probably say as early as middle of February, possibly this year, depending on the weather and everything. But I know this past fall, a lot of folks were interested in doing that, but it was just so dry, it would have been kind of a waste of time and money to do that. But that will be coming up, so keep that in mind. And you can call our office. We have our drill is handled this year by Mr. James Lyles. He's a member of our Soil and Water Conservation District, but it's on his farm off of Bandy Road. But you just call and get on the list and pick it up and do your deal and everything. But I'll give you all the information about the size tractor and that kind of thing that you need, or we have some brochures there at the office if you need those. So, but keep that in mind on your reestablishment, and then those of you in lawns there around the house, just keep an eye on things. And it's going to be interesting to see how well some of our Bermuda grass lawns come back. I mean, they kind of went into the winter with not much moisture, so a lot of times that fall, you don't really want to push them with too much nitrogen or anything like that, but still they've got to go through the winter with some stored reserves so they can actually make it through the winter, because it's always, even though it's brown on top, it's still green and you know, down in the soil, and then when it'll come out in the spring. So I'm afraid we may have some be hit a little bit there, but you know, just get them reestablished is the main thing, and that's where, going back to the soil sampling, that's why it's a good idea to go ahead and get that done, especially maybe this year, just to get that pH up where it needs to be, and find out what you need, so when it is time to start fertilizing, you can kind of help get those things growing and healthy again. So, I mean,
So a lot of fixing up, maybe patching up, or
and some of it's
reestablishing,
right,
or
and you can't, but some of it you can't really jump too soon. I mean, you got to really kind of wait. So some of the trees, you know, they on our assessment, the deciduous ones, they all look dead now, because you know, unless they're starting to bud, and a lot of them may be. But you know, until they really start to leaf out, it's hard to really determine or to, I guess, judge where they're going to come out strong or not. You know, and,
so you should go ahead with regular pruning, though.
yes, most definitely. Yeah,
as,
get those things.
As
And as you're pruning, you can kind of see some of that, some of those dead limbs, especially on your fruit trees and that kind of thing. I've seen some this year that, you know, that a lot of lichen was even on some of the peach trees I was looking at. But most of those, the ones that are really covered, were actually dead limbs, so they should have been cut out anyway. But just do some reclaiming. Sometimes it's for those, if you haven't pruned in a long time, it's not one of those deals that you really want to go in and butcher them this year. You know, you want to kind of slowly bring them back into form. But if you've been pruning on a regular basis, whether it be your peach trees or your grapevines or whatever, you know, continue to prune those, and because they'll produce much better for you if you do that. So.
I noticed some browning from a distance of in our pine trees in the tops, and well, that's all I could see was the tops. But,
right.
So I called the Forestry Commission, and the guy's coming next week to look at the.
Okay. Yeah, we have had, well, you know, and sometimes that can be from just some natural damage, wind damage or something like that on a basis. But when you start seeing several of those trees, we have the pine beetles every year, the turpentine, the black turpentine, the Epps, and the southern pine. We just don't have them in such, you know, what is it, 10, 12 years ago when they pretty much just ravaged the whole area, you know. But but it seemed like as those younger trees get bigger, and they start coming back around in larger numbers. But this past year we have had several calls on the reemergence in small areas of those beetles and that kind of thing. So, you know, having them looked at, but still, there's not a lot of. Unfortunately, the procedure is still to remove the dead ones or the infested ones, and then anything fairly close, so you could lose an acre very easily, just trying to prevent future damage. But you know, if you do nothing, then they're just by this time next year they keep spreading. Yeah.
Just trying to see what, you know, because of the stress that all the trees were suffering.
Right,
too.
and it may not even be a beetle.
Right.
But the pitch tubes are one of those things that are definitely a giveaway. It's that rosin that comes out. It looks almost like a piece of popcorn stuck on the tree. And if you got a lot of infestation, you'll see them all up and down the tree. But just one or two here, some rosin running down, indicates some borer activity where they go bore in and ooze out. So.
I hope we didn't have visitors, but you know, you never know.
Well,
You
better
never
safe
know
than
what's-
sorry. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's-
So I just thought I'd let him come and look at
Exactly,
it and
right.
see what was going on there. So there's always something trying to eat up whatever you're
Oh,
growing
yeah,
or
yeah.
trying to develop or whatever. There's always something.
That keeps everybody in the job, I guess.
I think
One
so.
trying to grow it,
Yeah.
another trying to protect it.
That's
So,
right. That's exactly right.
I like the job of eating it myself, but I can do that very well. So.
So
Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think of things that are happening right now. Right now, we're in, and I'm sure all the counties are, because coming February the 4th, I guess it is, we'll be having our Cloverleaf DPA
Oh, wow.
down at not Rocky, down at Floyd Junior College, or Floyd College. Gosh, that's changed so many times over the
Georgia
years.
Highlands
Georgia Highlands now,
College,
exactly.
yeah.
Gosh, I'm dating myself. I remember going there playing flag football in a murals when it was still Floyd Junior College. So that was just several decades ago. So anyway, and we've got, I think, a little over 100 kids on our list, and we again started practices yesterday, and we got them kind of spread out. And I think we met with 15 or 20 yesterday afternoon, and every afternoon they'll have more come in. We try to get them to come in 2 or 3 times so we can kind of help them. And it's amazing how, so impressed. One little girl was doing one on, like she's a bone, just watched that show, but she's a forensic entomologist or whatever it's called. Gosh, she knew so. She was telling all this stuff, and I'm thinking, okay, because I had no idea what she. Yeah, for sure. And but it was no cards or nothing, just like she had, knew the stuff. And it's 5th grade.
We have some
amazing.
Very impressive students this year.
That's great.
And projects. We're really proud.
It's been interesting.
That's great.
And it's kind of a neat time just because you get to see them as they also progress. And we visit with them, and then give them some pointers. I mean, by this time you can't say start over, so you just take where you're at and maybe tweak some things here and there, and then by the end of the month they're ready to go, and hopefully we'll do real well in Floyd County.
Well, it sounds like you have lots of really good perspective
we do.
winners anyway.
We've got some good wins, and so
So I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of time put in on because it's several, like 3 days a week from either 4 to 6 or 3 to 5 for them to come in, and it's a lot of work for the parents to get them there too. So working together, exactly. But the parents are really bought in and very excited for the kids and everything. So it's a good deal. So we're looking forward to that, and hope we have some great news on the other down the road.
That's
when we
right.
meet again, and we'll at least report on how we did.
So good news. Yeah,
yes,
that's news we like to share.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll all work out. Let's see. I'm trying to think what other things are going on there at the office, or what needs to be handled right now. Other things people can actually do is if you're a big gardener, and maybe you're not. Is one is if you haven't had a garden in the past, maybe starting to look at really where should I put a garden this year, and then of course that would be the place to do that soil sample at, kind of see where you're standing going there. Or if you have raised beds and you've been planting in them for several years, doesn't hurt to soil sample there, because if you've done a lot of fertilizing and that kind of thing over time and haven't been using much lime in there, it may be a good chance to pull samples, get that tested, and see where that's going there with in those beds. And raised beds has turned out to be just an outstanding way to have a garden where you can't normally have one. If it's because you're poor soil or rock outcroppings or whatever, you can just kind of build your raised bed on top of that and still have a somewhat useful garden. Of course, no matter where it's at, full sun is usually a real good thing, or at least 5 to 6 hours of sun every day, but full sun is even better. Close to water, good drainage. About 3 things you really want to have to make sure you got a good garden. Something where you can get to it. Nothing worse than to have a garden that's way off at the other end, and you hate to go. You just dread going to see it. You can have all kinds of great things happening, but if you're not down there on a pretty regular basis to either harvest or look after it to see what kind of bugs are eating on it or whatever, then you've pretty much squandered your dollars there. So
Charles, mine met all those criteria. That was my goal when I set my raised bed up. I wanted it close to the house so I could just go right out the door and be right there, close to water, all those things that you mentioned. It gets full sun. It was just great. Had a picnic table right next to it, so if I got tired, I could sit down, drink a glass of water, or even have lunch next to it.
Right.
I just had it all thought out, and the other thing was keeping the deer away.
Oh yeah.
Close enough to the house that it would deter the deer. But they've gotten so brazen now that I think this year I'm going to have to add a strand of electric fence around it, because I had to share my heirloom tomatoes with the deer this past year.
And that didn't work out too well, I'm
and
sure.
that didn't work out too well, because I really like those tomatoes.
Don't blame you.
And I really think I'm going to have to add an electric fence around it.
I was just thinking, when you started about electric and describing all that, flashback of several years ago, my in-laws, somebody had given maybe one of my brother-in-laws one of these Hank Williams Jr. little plug-in They played the music and they danced or dancing Santa Claus or something like that. I wonder how that would work. Of course, not
I
after
think the
few
deer
rain.
just dance with
Probably
it.
would.
I don't think it
They
would
wouldn't
be
enjoy the
scared.
beat.
No,
No,
I don't
no.
think
They're
they
not
would be.
scared.
I don't think they are.
That's funny. Even I think in the groundhog, so many of those are what we
Groundhogs,
consider
yeah.
wild animals almost become domestic
Yes.
if they. Same thing, especially deer. I mean, they're just they're not scared of you
And
at all.
we now have armadillo.
Yep, we have.
I found one on the patio.
Came over to the house, huh?
Yeah, they're coming up the steps next. I just know it. But I did find one.
I've had several calls about those, and people are and they're getting so, I guess, say brazen. So a lot of times you never do see those things, but these folks are actually seeing them, flipping on the lights, and they're not running. They're just hanging out there at night, and they're just out there digging the
like
holes or
raccoons.
whatever. Yeah. So
A baby was just having a fit, and I couldn't see what was going on. I flipped the light on, and there was the armadillo right there on the patio. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I've never seen one up close. I mean, I'd never seen one on the property at all."
Right,
and
right.
she was just, I didn't know what it would. She can kill a groundhog,
Yeah.
but she's accustomed to the body and
right,
everything.
yeah,
but
they're
groundhog.
yeah. I think armadillos kind of like those little roly poly or whatever. They just
They
kind of
just
roll up in a
kinda
ball,
roll
and
up.
they're
Yeah.
pretty protected. Yeah.
So I wouldn't let her have an
I would just
opportunity.
have a chance
so
at it.
yeah.
Well, I remember the first. I guess I've mentioned it over the years, but maybe 10 years now. I remember seeing one in front of West Yellowknife in Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
They had been run over, and then one coming up that long draw on the side of the road. But I figured they just fallen off some trucks or something down there. But it wasn't long after that people started. I never saw them, but they would start calling and saying, "Hey,
Yeah. I
what's
think,
doing?
I think we have
more holes?" And now
I
they're
think
here.
we have lots
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. Kind of like fire ants are here for
Yeah,
and keep them going
yeah,
north, I guess.
yeah. I'll bring you the next one. I'll bring it to you. How about
Okay, that'd be good.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll
We'd
put
love
it
that in our
I'll
office.
put it in a box and bring it to you.
Well, you know,
We'll
it's
get it
funny. When I was
stuffed.
in course, I was in 9th grade, and I remember this girl in our course. She came to school one day, and she had a purse made out of an armadillo.
Armadillo.
And the whole thing. So, anyway.
right.
that's
We
our
got to wrap it
armadillo
up
story.
on the
Okay.
armadillo story, so we'll bring one for you if you'd like to have armadillos at your house. If
yeah.
not, you need to stay tuned.
Don't be
to
left
next
out.
next week we might have an armadillo on here. Who knows? It's so good to meet you,
Thank
Julia.
you so
we wish
much.
you well, Charles.
Helen.
It's good to
Appreciate
see you again,
Good
and we'll
being with
see you next week on What Women and Men Need to Know.